Raleigh Score, in conjunction with Shaw University, introduces. Are you ready to start your own business? We are excited to have you join us on this 13-week journey. Our goal is to provide you with a consistent message and a solid methodology. Our approach is simplistic in nature. Therefore, we believe if you are committed and willing to do the work, you will come away from this program confident that your business plan is solid. A solid business plan is the roadmap to operating a successful business long-term. In addition, your plan is a key component when seeking financing during any phase of your business. This course has been designed to guide you step by step through the process of developing your business plan. So, find a comfortable and quiet place to watch this pre-recorded training video session, and take copious notes. Lastly, we invite you to register and attend our upcoming online training sessions. To register, go to raleigh.score.org and click on the Take a Workshop tab. Welcome to the pre-recorded video of Session 5, which is titled, Market Research for Customer Identification, and Cultivating the Habits of Success. In this session, we'll discuss the importance of traditional market research to identify your target customers. We will also provide insight into the importance of developing both your personal and professional habits that support the goals you've laid out for your business. Your facilitators for today's discussions are Bill Davis and Darlene Thorne. The detailed specifics of their presentations are vital to the development of your business plan. So, again, please find a quiet space and be prepared to take copious notes. And as always, if you have any questions, please email them to patty.williams@scorevolunteer.org. Enjoy the training.
Well, we don't really have any announcements tonight, but I would like to say you all have sent in, as Sharon said, some great homework. We've been reading that, and we just thank you for being so engaged and thinking through the things you're being taught. And also, if those things belong in your business plan, we're looking for you to go ahead and incorporate that into your plan so that you're getting down the road with it. And if there's things you need help with, you all are doing a great job of emailing us. Let us know what you need help with so that you get what you need out of this program. So we have a great program for you tonight, and we're going to go ahead and get started because we promised we would not waste your time. So we're going to get right to it this evening.
Yes, and so in this session, we're going to talk about the importance of market research to identify your target customers. It's really important to know who you're serving and what their pain points are so that you can describe how you're going to address them. And then in addition, we'll talk about the importance of developing personal and professional habits that support the goals that we've been talking about over these past couple of weeks. What habits and routines support you in making those goals happen? So Bill's going to start us off with the conversation around market research, and then Darlene's going to jump in and talk about all the wellness stuff, which is just as important. So Bill, I'll throw it to you, my friend.
Very good. Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. You remember we talked about early on about the fundamentals of the business plan. And one of those fundamentals is market research. I thought it'd be a good place to start to recap the questions that you want to be answering when you do your market research. And those questions are, what is your target market? What are your customers' buying and shopping habits? What are your prospects' willingness to pay? That is, what would they will to pay for the value that your business provides? And what and who is your competition? So those collectively are the questions that you want to be addressing as you do your market research and then summarize it in your business plan. But tonight, we're going to focus mostly and primarily on what is your target market, the first question. And the reason we're going to do that is that in my experience, your target market is the key to all of your research because it focuses your research, and it's where the research really, where you really want to be researching in terms of your business. Now, let me do some definitions around target market. What is it? Why is it important? Where does it fit in relationship to things like your customers? Your target market are who you're going to be focusing on to find or attract the people that you're going to do business with. It's the way I like to describe it is your target market is who you want to do business with. That's a different question than who wants to do business with you. Now, inside your target market, and I share these because I may make reference to these terms later. Inside your target market are your prospects. Prospects are people that you are interacting with to buy something from you, or they are looking for you. Now, there's your target market, and then there's everything else. That's the mass market. As a small business, a target market is extremely critical because it does give you or tell you where to focus all of your efforts and energy. And there's a reason for that. Let me give you a couple of them. For one, as a small business, you're going to have limited resources. That's by definition. That's not a matter of if your business is not doing well or if your business is doing extremely well. But compared to enterprise size businesses, a small business's resources are limited. Think of it in two ways. One, your time as the owner, you've only got 24 hours a day. And think about the resources in your business, such as your marketing budget or your promotion budget. That'll be a portion of the revenues in your business. And the idea from having a target market, knowing as precisely as you can who you want to do business with, then that allows you to focus those efforts there. Secondly, in knowing who your market is, your ability to provide value is going to be directly related of your clients.
Bill, it looks like you're muted.
Okay, how's that?
Better.
All right, okay, very good. Then you have an ability to focus on their needs and their specific needs, okay? So that's why the target market is so important, particularly for a small business. Now, let me give you an example, and I'll draw this from some of the vision statements that I received. Some were very specific about who their customers or who their target market was. So for example, in one instance, they were very specific that it was pet owners in the Triangle area. In another one, the reference was to people of all ages. People of all ages is a very, very broad market. And it would make it difficult to focus your energies or resources in an effective way in a market that big. So I like to think in terms of what is my market and how big is my market? Because I really need my market to only be big enough or as large as it would take for me to generate as much business as I'm attempting to generate in my business. So talking about a target market, are the people you want to do business with businesses, or are they consumers? If they're businesses, the question I would ask is what type of businesses? Are they large businesses, medium-sized businesses, corporations? Are they manufacturing type businesses or services type businesses? And then what are the sizes of those businesses that you want to do business with? For example, I worked with small business customers. The characteristics, pain points, etc., of a small business are very different than the pain points, the needs of a medium-sized or a large business. And so it makes a difference. If it's a consumer, if it's consumers that you are interested in serving with your business, you want to think through what generation are those are the people you want to do business with, or what age group, what gender, are they married or single, are they homeowners or renters? And the more specific you can be, the greater your opportunity of being, I'm going to say, able to hit the mark in terms of your marketing and promotion efforts, in terms of how you shape the products and services in your business. And those are really key elements to being successful in your business. Okay. So for example, if I want, I mean, just as simple as if I was a company that provided homeowners insurance, I wouldn't want to expend my advertising dollars advertising to apartment complexes. Obviously, because none of those people own houses, or a very, very small percentage. They may own a house in addition to renting an apartment. So I'd want to focus all of my efforts on people that already own houses or that are getting ready to buy houses. Okay. Now, so again, the thought is the more specific you are in figuring out the market that you want to do business with, the greater your opportunity to focus the efforts relative to that. Okay. Now, once you are zeroing in on who you want your target market to be, then the next thing you want to think about is, what is the size of that market? Is it big enough to produce the results that you want? And what I'm going to share with you are tools that you can use to help, one, determine your target market, and two, to determine the size of it and who's in it. And if you happen to be in Wake County, although I think most libraries provide a similar service, but if you have a library card, you have online access to their databases, okay? And in fact, I'm going to use Wake County because I think most of the people in this program live in Wake County or are close to Wake County. But if you went to wakegov.com/libraries and then clicked on the resources menu, you'll see where it says library databases. If you click on that, you're going to get something that you're going to get a long list of databases. What you're looking for is a database called Reference USA. Now, let me talk a little bit about Reference USA. It is a series of databases that pretty much contain records of all businesses in the United States. You can see that in the top left-hand corner. And then if you look in the second column and come down to the next to the last listing, there's a U.S. consumers database that lists 310 million individuals. Now that's just about everybody in the United States, okay? So you can use the Reference USA database, and there's no charge for this, by the way. That's one of the reasons I love it. So our taxes pay for this, and it's provided free to anyone that has a library card. But you can use these databases to get a better understanding of who's in your market. So there's identifying your market, small businesses or micro businesses, and then there's identifying who's in that market, because that's who I want to market to, focus my efforts on, etc. But if you go into these databases, I'm going to give you kind of an example, and I know this is not easy to see, but just kind of follow through if you would. So on the left-hand side, what I've done is I said I'm interested in businesses in the Raleigh area, okay, that have 25, excuse me, I got them backwards. Let me do this the other way. So the first one on the left is a consumer example. And I'm saying that my market are single individuals, actually single women, aged 25 to 29, located in the Raleigh-Cary area. So for purposes of this, I happen to be a clothing business, a fashion boutique, right? And so I know that who I want to sell to and who I want coming into my store are young women, all right? Usually they'd be single in this instance, in my example. And you'll see that there's a section there that says record count. And what that's telling you when you click on update the count is that 31,349 single females between the age of 25 to 29 in the Raleigh-Cary area. So that's the size of that market. So you can go, is that market large enough for me to produce the business results that I want to produce in my business? Okay. If you move, and you can change the factors. However, I could be looking for homeowners. I was about to say I could be looking for pet owners. I don't know that they have that particular data point in the database. And then on the right-hand side, there's an example of a business that does business with businesses. And so in this instance, this business is targeting businesses doing between $1 and $50 million a year in revenue, okay, that are privately owned, located in the Raleigh-Cary area. And as you can see, there are 12,800 of those businesses. Now, I'm not going to show you here, but if I were to click on review the results for these for the example on the right, the database would list all 12,800 of those businesses. And it would list the business name, the number of employees, their annual revenues, who the owner is, the street address, the phone number, etc. My point is, I could know specifically not only what my target market is, I can know who's in my target market. The consumer database, by the way, provides similar data. I actually found myself in that database. So if I wanted to do business in this example here with businesses between $1 and $50 million a year in annual revenues, I know exactly who I want to focus my marketing efforts on, etc. And I know exactly how large that market is. And so let's say I'm having a question of, do I want my business to focus on Raleigh or the state of North Carolina? Well, if there are enough businesses doing between $1 and $50 million in the Raleigh area, I may decide that's going to be my target area for my target market. There might not be a lot of benefit initially in me, I'm going to say, spreading myself thin, attempting to do business or marketing to and attracting businesses all across the state. Now, having said that, let me draw one other distinction about target markets, because I keep saying be more and more specific, and we often hear that as excluding people that might do business with us. And what I've always told my business clients is targeting is a marketing question. That's who am I going to go after to do business with me? Who I will actually do business with is an operations question. So let's say that I say my target market is businesses doing between $1 and $50 million. And one day somebody walks through my door and they have they have $100 million business. Would I do business with them? Absolutely. I would do business with them. But that's different than who I'm attempting to attract to my business or who I'm marketing to. Okay. So my point is your target market is who you want to do business with, whose needs you're going to design your business and your products and services to meet. But it doesn't mean that if someone else shows up and they find value in what you provide, it doesn't mean that you wouldn't do business with them. Okay. Now, let me stop here. I'm going to give you an assignment, but I'd like to stop here and see what questions you might have about target markets, about defining them or sizing them. Does anyone have any questions? Because if not, I'll move on to the...
I do have a question. Is there a way with the software to, in lieu of targeting based on revenue, target based on number of employees? Does it give you that option?
Yes, it does. It can, you can, in that database, you can specify the size of the business by employees and by revenues. In fact, there are something like 80 different pieces of data on each business. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. And I really encourage you all to utilize this assignment to go into Reference USA as a database. I think you will be very pleasantly surprised at just how well you can understand how big your market is and who's in your market, which then will refine your ability to answer the other questions like, what are their needs? What would be of value to them? What is their willingness to pay, etc. So here's your assignment for the next week relative to market research. The first is to define your target market. Again, I'm going to encourage you to be as specific, be more specific rather than less specific. Secondly, then I want you to size that market. Again, if you do business with businesses, how many of those type of businesses are in the area that you say your business will serve? If you market to, or your business will serve consumers, the same thing. You want to determine how many consumers that are in your target market there are in whatever the geography is that you want to serve. And then, just like with all of your homework assignments or your week's assignments, it helps if somebody will look at them. If you will, send that market definition and market size to me at my email address, and I will provide you feedback relative to that. Okay.
Bill, I do see one question. Ashley is asking, can you have two types of target markets, or should it really be narrowed down to only one type of customer? Great question.
Yeah, let me answer the question two ways. Yes, you can actually have multiple target markets. I encourage you, particularly if you're starting a business, that you start with a single target market. It reduces the complexity, and you don't have to stay with only one target market forever. But I happen to have an opinion, having worked with 1,000+ businesses over the last 20+ years, that the less complexity you put in your business, it allows you to focus more of your resources on a single place. So I think a single target market is preferred. I'll use that term rather than better, is preferred over multiple target markets, because then you're going to have to distribute your resources. Okay, because if you really get your markets defined, and if they're really different, what you would say to one market in your marketing is not what you would say to another market. And so if you had $1,000 for a promotional budget, you'd spend some of the 1,000 on one market, some of the 1,000 on the other market, as opposed to being able to spend all $1,000 promoting to a single market.
And yeah, Bill, to that point as well, if I could add on to that, what focusing and niching also does is it actually helps you to get really good at understanding that particular market. Yeah, so what I was saying, Bill, is you can develop some mastery around in a particular market, and you can become considered a thought leader for that particular space as well when you begin to target. But I can appreciate the challenge, because especially if you have a product that is more can serve anybody, is more horizontal in nature, it's difficult to kind of narrow your focus. But, and Kristen actually asked a question. She's speaking to this a little bit. She says that she's in a bit of a unique business situation. Her target market is anybody with blood. So
yeah, and here's what I would say, because anybody can use your product or service, doesn't mean that your path to success is trying to market to any and everybody. You know, one of the things I like to say is when you attempt to go after a mass market, then all of a sudden you're competing against businesses like Walmart. And that's a big challenge. And then I'll offer another thing for you to consider. Coca-Cola, everybody knows what Coca-Cola is. And you know that it is a multi-billion worldwide market. Okay, they, in other words, they consider everybody in their market. They spend 25 cents out of every dollar of revenue for promotion. And so then I would ask you to kind of step back, think about the size business that you said you want, and then envision spending 25% of those total revenues on promoting. That's what it takes to successfully, to have any chance at promoting to everybody. And then you got to remember that 25% of Coca-Cola's revenues is a tremendous amount of money, right? If you targeted, or let's say I want to have a $500,000 business, you know, 25% of $500,000 is no place close to what Coca-Cola spends. So that's the real challenge with a very broad definition of the market, is when it comes down to you doing the marketing and promotion, The question is, would you have the resources to really market to a target market that large? The other reason I encourage so strongly for people to size the market is when you actually go in and size it, most people find that the sharply defined target that they come up with, that it is a reasonably large size. You know, like you would think female single 25 to 29 is a really narrow market. But there are 31,000 people in that market. There are 31,000 people. Just like businesses doing between $1 and $50 million in Raleigh and Cary, there are 12,000 of them. If you were in a business of marketing, coaching, consulting, et cetera, I got to tell you, 12,000 people that you can offer your product and service to is probably more than enough. But these are great questions. I see someone has a question here that says, there are some categories that I could focus on, such as athletes, horses, healthcare providers, et cetera. What I'd ask you to do is, in your homework, size each one of those segments and see how large they are. I think you'll find that any one of them is probably large enough for you to be able to produce the amount of business results that you envision out of any one of those three segments. Are there any other questions? Okay, well, you've got your assignment for the week. I look forward to seeing the results of your work. And I'm going to turn it over to Darlene to talk about wellness and mindset challenges.
Good evening, everyone. I'm glad that we're all here tonight, and we've been challenged to take a look at our business size and be very succinct in who we're serving and how we're going to serve them. And I believe that a part of how we're going to serve them is how we think about ourselves and how we think about our business. So tonight we're going to talk about the power of positive thinking. And I'm not just talking about, rah, 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 but it is real important that we practice positive thinking, because that can take us a really long way. Because positive thinking is more than just thinking positively. It's more than that. Although it is a very large part of it. It's actually looking at a situation or a challenge from a particular perspective. It's more than whether the glass is half full or half empty. It's really observing the substance that's in the glass, and how do you determine what that thing is. It's like, look at it itself and determine the possibilities. What are the outcomes of this particular, what's in this glass? What are the outcomes of the glass? Whether it be considered half full or half empty, what are the outcomes? What are the possibilities of what's in the glass? What can you do with what is in the glass? That's what makes the difference. It's not just saying it's good or bad. It's how useful is what you have. And that's very, very important in how we think, because what we think about, the things that we think about, that's what we gravitate towards. The more we think about things in a positive light, yes, from that positive perspective, it changes the way we do business. It changes the way we function within our home, and it changes the way we even treat ourselves. So this is going to be very important, positive thinking, what we're going to discuss this evening. So we've got to begin to look at the challenges that we face especially challenges that we face in business or in our home life, we have to look at them as being temporary. And I want you to think about this, saying to yourself, this too shall pass, or it has come to pass, that it is not going to stay here. The situation does not remain forever. It does make a change. And what we think about and how we begin to unpack that particular situation will help to determine how we are able to come out of that situation. So all in what we are thinking about, that is what's going to determine how we're going to come out on the other side. So one of the things I want to talk to you about, what happens, what is it that positive thinking does for you? So let's take a look at that. First of all, what do you say? Life is an echo. What you send out, isn't that a cute picture? What you send out comes back. What you sow, you reap. What you give, you get. What you see in others exists in you. We go, thank you, Sharon. Life it's an echo. And when you think about echoes, you ever been at a mountaintop and you yell your name out, or you yell out hello and you hear it reverberate into the atmosphere, and it says hello, 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 hello. It's that ripple effect. Well, what kinds of, if you could hear over and over in your head, the possibilities are endless. The possibilities are endless. The possibilities are endless, as opposed to, I'll never make it. Or what is it? We're doomed. When you begin to reverberate the things in your mind, one of those things that you are, I call it meditation, but there's also that word worry. We worry about things. What if we worried the possibilities? What if we worried what would happen if this thing worked, and begin to think outside of the box? We would notice that there would be a totally different outcome. We wouldn't have sleepless nights. We would actually wake up energized, because as we sleep, we dream. And sometimes those answers come to us in a dream. So life's an echo. What you send out comes back. What you sow, what things are you planting? When I say planting, that also means, what are you planting in your mind? What are you planting when you write things down on a piece of paper? What are you planting when you actually decide to pick up your phone and listen to something on YouTube? What do you listen to? What kinds of things are you filling yourself with? Because those are seeds that are going into your mind, into your subconscious, whether, the conscious mind is awake and then the subconscious mind is asleep. But when the subconscious mind is in operation, it takes from the conscious mind the things that you've thought about during the day. And in the subconscious, it brings those things to fruition in a manner of, they take root. And then when you wake up, that's what you're always thinking about. But that we'll talk about on another one of our times together. What you give, you get. When you give someone a smile, I'm one of those people that tends to smile a whole lot. And when I'm walking down the street or walking in the store or whatever, I tend to smile at people. And now that we're wearing masks, I have that smize, the smize with your eyes. So people can tell when you're smiling what you're giving out. You can receive those things back. And what you see in others already exists in you. When you can see the good in others, it's because that's some of the things that you embody yourself. When you see negativity, that's a part of what you've carried with yourself. It says, why does that person always seem to be so sad? And every time we say, isn't it a beautiful day? They say, yeah, but they said it's going to rain this afternoon. And I'm sure you've had those conversations with people where you say something positive and the thing from that comes from their mouth is something negative, because that's what's existing in them. So I want us to think about what we're thinking about and what we say out of our mouths, what we plant, what seeds we plant, what things we fill ourselves and fuel ourselves with during the day. Do we get up in the morning and what's the first thing we listen to? And you answer that question for yourself. What is the first thing you turn to? What are those things that you begin to feed yourself when you wake up in the day? So let's go to our next slide. And we're going to talk about what positive thinking can do for you. Now, it's typing across the screen. It talks about what Johns Hopkins Medicine, the hospital, they found that there are so many things that help us, so many health benefits that we receive from thinking positively. And I'm just going to let it go, let it scroll, and then we're going to talk about them one at a time. Your longer lifespan. Do you realize that you can help yourself to live longer when you think positively? There's a proverb that says, laughter does good like a medicine. That when we decide to think in a different manner, when we think more on the positive side in terms of what are the possibilities if it worked, what are the possibilities if we succeeded, we tend to have less stress, which increases our lifespan. The less stress we have, we cause our bodies to be healthier. If you notice that when you're under stress, there are certain things that happen to your body that can actually cut off your lifespan. They talk about people that are frightened, that when they are, when the adrenaline rises, it can cut off a part of their, it's like you lose hours of lifetime. Because every time that adrenaline rush comes in, it sucks the life out of you. Have you ever heard it say, my heart stopped beating? It sucks the life out of you when you have these things that are they are aversions to having a life of peace. So you have less stress when you have positive thoughts, positive outcomes. Your lower rate of depression. People walk around depressed, and when you hear their conversations, they're always talking about what they don't have. They're always talking about how things are never going to change, where they always talk about, I can't seem to get over. It seems like I can't seem to make it happen. It seems like every time I take 2 steps, I get pushed 3 steps backwards. You hear those kinds of conversations. We hear those kinds of conversations. Yeah, we are. But all these things are all connected. So listen, we have an increased resistance to the common cold. When you are happier, you are healthier. When you're happier, you're healthier. Better stress management and coping skills. You're happier, you're healthier, and you think clearer. I used to tell my daughter, don't ever make, and I've said it to myself, but I remember telling my daughter specifically, don't ever make any major decisions when you're angry, when you're sad, when you're mad, or when you're confused about something. Don't ever make any decision. And that holds true with business. We don't want to make a hasty business decision when we are not on even keel. We have a lower risk of cardiovascular disease-related death when we think positively and positive outcomes. We have an increased well-being. We tend to move a little bit smoother through life. And we are able to think about what our business and how we can serve those we've been called to serve in our businesses. We get to serve them better because we have a good, we have well-being, and our life is physically on even keel. And we also have better psychological health. That better psychological health, again, where it goes back to how you think about yourself, how you think about your family, and how you think about your business. You're able to then make decisions that are going to benefit all of them because they are all connected. Let's go to our next slide. It's going to be important that as we're walking through this process, that we've got to look at our bodies, and we've got to look at how our bodies are affected when we have undue stress. Because when we are under stress, as I said earlier, it's very difficult to be able to think clearly, and we don't make the proper decisions because we have not gone through the proper channels of practicing good self-care. Because if we're not taking care of ourselves, and if we are the face of our business, for those of us who represent the business, and we don't have 10 and 15, people that are working with us, and we're the face of the business, we've got to first manage ourselves. And if we can manage ourselves, then we are better equipped to take care of the business that we have been granted and given as our assignment here on earth. So when I talk about looking at the effects of stress on your body, this is where I want you to begin to take some self-inventory and to begin to think about how do these things affect, how are you seeing any of these particular things in your body? Okay, let's take a look at tense muscles. When things start to happen and someone says something, and it could be business related, could be family related, could be personal. On any one of those levels, you hear something, do you feel your muscles begin to tense? Do you feel that all of a sudden you get this thing that happens in the middle of your forehead, and it seems like you have like this indelible mark across here where it's difficult, you actually have to let's clear this area right here. If your muscles are tensing up when people are talking about particular things, that is stress. And for us women who carry purses, you put your purse on your shoulder and it feels extra heavy. Those muscles have become tense. And so when you're carrying your bags, it feels heavier. Poor digestion. Have you ever wondered, I just ate, and your stomach feels bloated, or your stomach feels like there's something wrong, there's something going on, or you feel that burning sensation. Any one of those things where you just don't feel like, maybe I ate something wrong. Maybe I'm coming down with something. That can be a part of stress. And sometimes we just don't know that it's stress. We just think, I just ate a bad meal. It just didn't agree with me. But that could be stress. What about, and this one's not on the slide, but with your lungs. Sometimes when you are under stress, your lungs, the air passages for your lungs, they dilate, they get thicker. And so then what happens is you have to breathe. It feels like you're breathing heavier in order to get air through your body because you've become stressed. And you wonder, why do I feel like I am so tired? Why am I feeling like I'm breathing heavy? I'm not doing anything, but it's because it's a level of stress. When you're looking at your skin, do you feel like your skin feels clammy? Or does your skin start to feel like you're sweating from the inside out? That can be a level of stress. I want you to think about the blood. When you get under stress, your blood has to thicken so it can get through your body. And as it thickens going through your body, that means it has to pump harder to go through all of the muscles in your body, all through your body. That makes your liver have to work harder. That makes your lungs have to work harder. And that makes your heart have to work harder. Because your heart now has to pound more, sending the blood to go around the arteries. And then what the heart also has to do, it produces a sugar that goes through your body, meaning sugar, they say sugar converts to energy. And remember, they say at 3 o'clock, everybody gets that 3 o'clock rush and they go grab a Kit Kat bar or they grab something sweet or some coffee or whatever. And they get this real big sugar rush and it's that sugar high. And then all of a sudden it goes, shoo. That's what happens when your body is going through levels of stress. Behavioral changes. How well do you sleep at night? Do you find yourself waking up in the middle of the night or not having a restful sleep? Do you get nauseous? Indigestion, as I mentioned earlier. And do you have that rapid pulse? What about headaches? And that headache, that's not the one up here, but it's the one that comes back here. The one that's in the back of your head. It's just that gnawing and throbbing thing. That's called a tension headache. I found out about this years ago from a friend of mine. I was explaining to her, I'm feeling this thing. And because I told her, I said, I never get headaches. So I don't know what this is, but it feels like it's this throbbing thing in the back of my head and it just feels so bad. She said, that's a tension headache. She's a nurse. She says, that's a tension headache. And you have to take an Excedrin for that tension headache, but for real, you're under stress. So these types of things, when we're looking at our bodies, and we're wanting to know how can we best serve our customer client, the best way we can serve them is by taking care of ourselves. The best way that we can serve them is to make sure that we recognize the effects of stress and we recognize when our body is under stress. And then we have to know when to step back. Because if we are not to our optimum, we are not going to be beneficial to our businesses. We want to make sure that we are able to function and flow and flourish in the best way that we can so that we can serve to the best of our ability. So let's go to the next slide. This is your assignment. Your assignment, and you're saying, wow, after all this, you're going to tell me that I need to focus on good things and practice gratitude and open myself up to humor and spend time with positive people and practice good, positive self-talk, yeah, I'm going to tell you that if you begin to change what you do and what you speak out of your mouth, if you change what you ingest, the things that you listen to, if you will incorporate practicing gratitude and being thankful for the things that you have, like I talked about before, having a gratitude book. At the end of the day, if you can write down 3 things that you are grateful for, if you can recall the 3 good things that happened, and it could be, I was able to spend time with someone that I hadn't seen in a long time. I was able to, write down that, finally I could write down that notice I needed to write for my business plan. I finally was able to connect with a business partner that's going to help me to move further. If you begin to practice those things, and if we identify those areas where we have been negative, when we do that self-reflection and we look at, these are areas that are really attempting to hold me back. And when you recognize what they are, then you are able to eliminate them. I remember when I was trying to find out why there were certain things happening with my body. I felt like my body was being inflamed, and I went to my doctor and we did a blood test, and they were checking to see if there were any foods that I may be allergic to. And when they checked, there were certain foods, and one particular food that I had been eating because I was told that it is one of the most healthy vegetables that we can consume. I was eating it day and night, broccoli. And I found that my system, was allergic to broccoli. And it didn't matter how much water I drank. It didn't matter how much exercise I did. My body was inflamed because I was consuming something that my body did not accept. So it may not be something that is terrible, but it may be something terrible for you. So you want to identify those areas of negativity and eliminate them so that you can be your best self. And so start every day on a positive note. And what that could be is you create your own mantra. And it could be, today is going to be the best day of my life. It could be, I'm going to have a phenomenal day. It could be, I'm just grateful to be alive. I want you to begin to think about starting your day on a positive note. And that way I can guarantee you begin your day with a positive note. And the last thing I want to tell you to do is, when you get up in the morning, and this is something that I learned from a woman who taught me about meditation, that when we arise out of bed, before we actually get out of the bed, if we put our feet on the floor, sitting straight up, hands on our lap, breathe in deeply 3 times. And I mean, breathe in for 5 seconds and blow out for 5 seconds, 3 times. That helps your day. That helps you to begin your day on a positive note. And what does that do? First of all, you've been laying down all night. And so your body has been laying in that position where all of your muscles have been laying down. You have also accumulated certain toxins in your body because of the way you were laying down. So when you rise up and you sit on your bed and you breathe in and you breathe out, you are breathing out the toxins from the night's sleep. And you are able to breathe in the healthy toxins for the day. You're breathing out negativity. You're breathing out all of that, and you are giving yourself fresh air. And then alongside with that, speaking something positive, it's going to be a beautiful day today. I'm going to reach my goals today. I'm thankful for life. And stretch and begin your day. I can guarantee you will notice a difference. That's what I'd like to share with you. This is an assignment that's vitally important for your physical health and the health of your business. So if you have any questions, any comments, please let's talk.
One thing I did want to mention, Darlene, is, you know, sometimes when we have these conversations about positive talk and positive self-talk, it can sound kind of soft and woo-woo in some ways. But when you think about how your thinking determines your results, then it's not woo-woo at all. So that was one thing. I think the person who can manage their mind the best wins. Not the person who can manage the outer circumstances, but the person who can manage their mind around those outer circumstances wins this whole thing. That's number one.
Yep.
Number two, I just wanted to also mention that sometimes when we talk about positive thinking and managing your mind, it can be, we can be kind of harsh with ourselves around it. You know, like, well, I know I should think positive, but why am I continuing to beat up on myself about it? I know better. Why do I do this? And it's really because it's a physiological process that's happening. When you continuously think in a certain way for years and years and years, you form connections in your brain that make it easier for you to think that. Right? So even when you want to think more positively, it's challenging if you've always thought less positively for decades. So that's where compassion is really important. But what's cool also about that is what they're realizing now with something called neuroplasticity, is that the brain can change. They used to think our brain was static at a certain point and that we were just stuck with the brains we had. But with this new technology and this brain imaging science, they're able to say your brain changes all the way up until the day you die. So what that means is that even if I'm 53, even if I've spent 50 years thinking negatively, I can begin a practice of changing how I'm thinking. And I can change my brain, which will then make it easier for me to feel the way I need to feel in order to achieve what I want to achieve. So it kind of we have more power over our minds than we think we do. But it's not always necessarily so easy. It just becomes a practice that we can commit to. So I just wanted to mention that.
And the other thing is our brain is merely the conduit of what our mind tells it to do.
Yes.
The brain only does what your mind tells it. Your brain doesn't rule. So your mind is what really changes. So it's important that you understand that that brain, it sits there and it waits to get instruction from the mind. And then it sends off all those neurons to any part in the body for it to do what it needs to do. So you change your mind, you change your life.
Darlene, I would also like to say, when you get ready to start your business, you're going to be under a lot of stress and a lot of unknowns. But once that business gets going, and let's assume it's successful and very successful, you are really going to need these principles. Right. Because every day when you wake up, you have no idea what's coming at you. You may have your day planned, but if you know how to center yourself and face things throughout the day, you will make it from one day to the next. When I went into business, one of the things that I was not willing to compromise was my health. When I got into healthcare, I saw how stress can take you down mentally. I saw a lot of nurses that had not taken care of themselves as well as they had others. And so I made a conscious decision that my health was very important to me. Yes. Last night, when Bill talked to us about funding, we got into a lot of issues. And we talked about when you have a business that's very successful and you want to take it to the next level, do you want to expand all over the country? Do you want 100 locations? We've spoken to you about why are you starting this business? Are you starting this business to take care of your family? Are you starting it to show your friends that you can have the biggest business in the country? But you need to decide what is enough. When I decided that my health was more important to me than anything, then I knew how much business I was willing to do and how long I was willing to stay in that business.
That's good.
And I didn't want to come out when I came out in a wheelchair or a stroke.
Right.
I wanted to come out in a position where I could make choices and that I was in control. So consider all of that. This is so important, what she talked about. You will need it and you will use it if you have those tools in your chest.
I love that, Patty, and all that you've said, Darlene, and everyone. And when you think about entrepreneurship and or owning a business, sometimes the days are long and the nights are very short, aren't they, Patty? And I say that because Patty and I have had some text exchange about long days. And when my mind is in the right perspective or place, I can go long.
Yeah.
Like I can work those 18 hours on those occasions. And yes, that's real. I do find a way to balance and manage through it. And because my mind is in the right place, the right perspective, in that positive place, and I'm not feeling overwhelmed, and the way I don't get overwhelmed is to center. And for me, sometimes it's simply to just say a quiet prayer. Sometimes I have to get up from this desk and go in my prayer room and go into prayer warrior mode, because the computer has crashed and all these things are happening. I cannot let them get in the way of me achieving that thing that's in front of me. And so I think about Malcolm X in By Any Means Necessary. And so I've stood all I can stand at that point, and now it's time for me to kneel. And in that moment, I'm asking my higher power, for me, it's God, to give me the mindset, to give me the energy, to give me the words, because my eyes are burning because I haven't had any sleep and I'm trying to meet this deliverable. That happens. And it's not that we don't have good time management. Sometimes things just start to happen around the same time, and you have to get it while it's good, because you don't know the season. When you think about Bill's challenge to us around that target market, what Bill is saying is you target right here and you keep your eye, you're like a bullseye on that target. Yet, if your client comes from all the way over here and that's your client, you work that client and manage that until you can get back over here. It is definitely mind over matter. It's more mind over matter than what you know in terms of skill. The positive thinking, the I can do this, the affirmations, and there was so much happening in the chat that I wanted to go back to that. I don't know why it disappeared on me. It's not the user. I'm sure it's user, because now I'm looking at Darlene. But there were comments in there. One person talked about a resource as Wayne Dyer. Many of us know who he is. Some people don't. If you don't, he's very positive. In the morning, what I do is usually I turn on Yolanda Adams, Pamela Mann, or Kirk Franklin. Mm-hmm. And somewhere between those three, my spirit is fed and I'm good. I don't really want to hear the news. I'll check the weather out on my phone. I want to hear the news later in the day. In the morning, I want to be fresh and positive and in that space. So I really appreciate what you have shared with us about this perspective. Thank you. And I would say that our audience feels the same way based on the comments that are dropping into the chat. So great job there.
Very good.
It looks like Raleigh Gilbert said, I appreciate what you're saying, since this journey does not focus only on the mechanics and structure of the business plan, but you recognize that we are biological vessels, people behind the business plans. Thank you. That was so cool. That this is a part of why we do what we do, because we recognize that it's not only about the business, but it's the people behind the business. We want these businesses to be long lasting. And I believe that there were quite a few of us that said that we want our businesses to leave a legacy. Well, what's the legacy that you want to leave? How as Patty said, you don't want to be carted out. You want to be able to leave a legacy of health and wellness along with a healthy and wealthy business. So that I thought that was really cool when I read that in the chat.
And here's another one that stood out from Barry. All these things are truth. I have learned to command my morning and declare and speak into existence those things that I want to be: good life, good health, and good devotion.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Beautiful.
That's good. That's good.
Angie, as you were speaking, I thought about sleep. Most of us don't get the proper amount of sleep.
Correct.
You need to get 7 to 8 hours. That is a challenge for many. But if you could force yourself to go to bed and sleep that 7 to 8 hours, you're going to be much more productive. If
Go
you
the other
make that
place.
happen. So I encourage you all. I mean, there's sleep hygiene. There's things you can do. Some people sleep with the TV on all night or the radio or whatever. But if you could get some good sleep hygiene, get the room quiet, dark, and get some sleep, you will start to notice that things are clearer as you go through your day. You may have to pull an 18-hour day here and there, but don't make that the norm.
Exactly.
You really can't make it up. Once you lose that sleep, it's gone. But I would like to see Sharon or Darlene talk to us about sleep hygiene somehow along the way, because that is important and it's something that we just ignore. People who don't sleep well get dementia. There's so many things tied to just not resting your body. So I just wanted to bring that up, and I'd like to hear more about it. And if any of you have any good sleep hygiene that you can tell us about, or something that you do, we'd be happy to hear it even tonight.
And thank you for bringing that up, Patty, because I'm realizing ever since I've gotten into my 50s, I don't have a whole lot of boo-boo room, I call it. Like if I don't get my sleep, it affects me the next day. Whereas when I was in my 30s, I could go and go. It's just different now. And something that I found that works well for me, because I tend to be a thinker, so it's sometimes hard for me to turn my mind off, is I use guided meditation. And there's an app called Insight Timer. I'll put it in the chat. It's just insighttimer.com, and it's a free guided meditation app. And I like it for a couple of reasons. One is it's free, but two is that the meditations are just really good. And they have different meditations around different topics, around anxiety, around stress, and they have some really good ones around sleep. So what has been helpful for me is to put my headphones on and turn on Insight Timer and start like a 30-minute guided meditation. And it's really gentle. It just kind of invites you to relax. And I'm usually asleep before the thing ends, and I found I need that additional support on certain nights to kind of invite me into sleep, because I realized when I wasn't sleeping, I was panicking around not sleeping, and that was making me not sleep more. So I was fighting it. So I realized I had to just say, I'm not sleeping well. What do I need to support me? Instead of arguing with the fact that I wasn't sleeping well. And just that shift also was very helpful too. It allowed me to be a little bit more compassionate. And in that compassion, I was able to see, well, what a solution might be. So that was That was one thing that really helped me a lot.
Yeah, something else that helps us to sleep at night is we need to begin to go to sleep before we go to sleep. And that means turning off the television at least 30 minutes before, turning the lights down low in your home, in your room. Also, sometimes taking a shower is great if you're a nighttime shower person or whatever. And the other thing is, as you mentioned, Sharon, listening to meditations. You do night chat. What is it called? Nighttime?
Insight timer.
Insight time. I
Uh-huh.
go to the other free one, YouTube.
Yeah. Yes, there are good ones there too.
And there are a lot of different things that you can pull that actually they will go 12 hours. Some of them are 8 hours, and they will actually, there's actually for the brain, because I'm dealing with some family issues. And so I have to really take care of myself on a I feel like on a higher plane kind of, but I listen to energy. And there are those different ones that are the sensors that it just helps to calm your body down. So you want to prepare to go to sleep before you go to sleep. And that's going to be real important. It's not just a matter of, okay, I'm going to go to bed. You just flick off a light and think sleep is just going to come. Just like we prepare ourselves to go to work, we want to prepare ourselves to go to sleep. And so that's a matter of, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I want to kind of point us also back to where Patty started. And that is that basically everything we know says that human beings need 7 to 8 hours of sleep.
You got it.
And I know for me, and I think there are a lot of people like me, the problem isn't figuring out how I could get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. It's that I keep trying to fool myself to think I can get by with less. And so I just offer to all of us the first thing, if you come to grips with the reality that the human body needs 7 to 8 hours to perform at its best, you'll find what it takes for you to get the 7 or 8 hours of sleep.
I love that, taking us back to that, and I do appreciate that, because I don't want to leave the impression that operating on these 18 hours is a good thing. It happens from time to time. And I will tell you, the minute I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, I am back on my A game and fully energized. And when I don't and have to get back up, like last week, I went to bed at 2:30 a.m. and had to be right back up at 6:30. I felt horrible all day. I mean, I pushed through, but I could not wait to get home. I did want to circle back, though. I saw a couple of good things in here. Someone said, Bill, my husband needs to hear that from a man. Yes, Bill, I'm with you. Here's a comment about the computer, and that's a point I wanted to share. I learned, so I used to do my social media surfing in the evening because it was the time I thought I had. And what I realized is that blue light in my eyes, and I didn't realize Dr. Queen, Kate Queen, she says, in addition, if you are on your computer without your blue light filter on, you will delay the production of melatonin, which is important to the onset of sleep and the first half of your night's sleep. So, to Dr. Queen and others, I was talking, thank you. I was talking at night and didn't know it. And my mind was just very active. I just knew that I was very tired. And my daughter came home and was here, and she was like, Mom, you're having like whole conversations. And I don't know why it was happening. I didn't know it was happening. I just knew I was tired. But I realized I was going to bed with a lot on my mind, and I was reading things online. And so my mind wasn't getting a chance to deactivate. And I just want to bring home the point that you made, Darlene, around getting ready for sleep before you go to sleep. And I know Adriana Huffington has a nice piece that she writes on preparation for bed. And it stood out to me because I think it was Marriott Hotel, but they actually replicated and slid it out on the desk for people to see, on the nightstand for people to see. Sleep is important. And to Patty's point, you cannot make it up.
That's right. That's right. Let me go back. There are a couple of questions in the chat, and I want to make sure we don't miss them. There was a question for the panel that reads, as we succeed in business, particularly as an individual with high demands on our time, is there a fine line between working too many hours and hiring a manager or other personnel in order to create the necessary balance? I'm going to offer, I don't know that the line is really a fine line. I'll share this with you for your consideration. And let me tell you why I share it before I do. Many of us get in business, we want to own a business, and we think that it's best for us to be in business for ourselves. And for some of us, that's the case. But when you talk to owners of the fastest growing small businesses, one of the patterns that emerges out of them sharing their stories is that they do what they call, they got out of their way as fast as they could. In fact, they saw bringing additional people into the business as a part of growing that business. You know, going back kind of this, like we need 7 or 8 hours of sleep. As an individual, we got 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There is a limit to our bandwidth. And oftentimes we have a business opportunity that is bigger than us as individuals. And
Bill is frozen.
He's frozen.
Oh, he's frozen.
Oh my gosh. This must have been a very pivotal moment.
Yeah, hopefully he'll come back.
He'll come.
Yeah, he'll come back.
you don't even
There
have
we
to
go.
think about bringing someone else in, because the objective is not to. What I encourage you to do along with that, though, if that's not very clearly your intention, don't exclude the possibility of bringing in additional people, because it expands the capacity of the business.
And I know for me, what I've been doing for the past couple of years is outsourcing particular skill sets, right? So there are things that I could do, but my time is much better spent on revenue generating activities or creative activities or content development. And my time is not best spent on creating graphics or, you know, maintaining the website or whatever else. And there's so many tools, like we mentioned, Upwork, that make that a little bit easier. So that's a little bit different than bringing someone on, but I've just found it very efficient to outsource for particular skill sets, because there are some folks who can do what'll take me 3 hours to do, and they can do it in half an hour.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to say it's not different from bringing someone on. The real question from a business perspective is bringing on incremental resource to the business. Whether it's brought on virtually or hiring, those are ways, but the mega issue is bringing on business building capability.
Right, that helps to save both time, energy, even money in the long run,
Right.
because our time
Right.
is money.
Exactly.
So the time that we could be cultivating the revenue generating, we're doing something else. So
I'm looking, Angie, you do a better job of this. I think we have gotten most of the questions, because I wanted to do something else, but I don't want to do that before we get the questions answered.
Okay, Bill, there was a question about the roundtable. Thank you, Francesca. that those roundtables are from 6 to 7:30, and she did put the dates in there. But to go directly to the source, you can go to the SCORE Raleigh or Raleigh SCORE website and gather all the information there. We do appreciate that many of you are pre-registering. It really helps us to see, we get the list in advance to see who's on and to make sure we cover the topics that you want. I did see a question for the panel. As we succeed in business, particularly as an individual with high demands in our time, is there, I think you answered that already.
Yeah, that was one I was just addressing.
Yes, yeah, but there was another one I saw before we move on. It was about, I think it was from, one second, I saw it. It was a question related to the target market marketing. Oh, here it is. It's from Ashley Smith. Her question is, would the ideal customer and our target market be considered the same thing, Bill?
They are very similar. The key difference, the ideal customer is like the avatar, kind of gives you a picture of who that customer is. Target market includes a definition of those collectively, but also who they are by name to a large extent, and being able to size it. So an ideal customer is again like a persona, so that you can kind of focus who you're talking to and what you're saying and the needs. Target market includes those ideal customers, but it's not identically the same thing. I hope that, I don't know that that was a clear response. I hope it was.
I think so. I really do, based on my interpretation of the question. If not, Kate, come back. So the question is, how can you get in touch with the panel members, whether it's regarding homework or maybe something one of us said? The preference is that you send those questions to Patty Williams and or me, Angie Arrington, and we will respond and or forward it to the person you've asked. I did notice that someone was looking for a particular panelist, and the panelist did respond back and give you that email address. There was also a question about the roundtable registration. You find that information. You also find recordings from each session at the Raleigh SCORE website. That is going to always be your source for information. And whoever you send the question to, if we're not the person to answer it, we'll get it to the appropriate person for you. I think that covers housekeeping, other than we still see a few of you with just a phone number or just an iPad or what have you. When we send out emails specifically following up on, it may be new information, maybe a suggestion, we're not able to get that to you if we don't have a name and or an email address. So if you aren't putting those in here, please update that. And if you're interested in changing your name on your user ID on your screen for Zoom, there's 3 dots where your photo is. If you click on that and scroll down, 3rd button from the bottom, you can just rename it right there. So with that said, Bill, I don't see any more questions. So feel free to go ahead and give us that additional gift from you. We love getting new information from you.
Well, this is session 5, and we have the opportunity of time. What I wanted to do is give participants an opportunity, given we are through session 5, to share what either is the most significant insight you've had out of the 5 sessions, or the sessions that you've participated in, or the most significant thing that you've learned. Now, let me again say why that question. Number 1, it gives us feedback in terms of what's getting through, which is valuable for us. But secondly, an insight or something you learn significantly when you repeat it may be of value to somebody else in the program. You know, they may not have missed it, or when you say it, it may occur to them differently. So if we can, I'm going to say let's take up to 10 minutes if there are that many comments. And if that's okay, Angie, I'll let you do the traffic copying on who speaks when. And we're just
Absolutely.
going to listen. We're not going to respond to your learning or your insight. We would just love to hear it and have other participants hear it.
Yes, so I would just say the best way to do that effectively is come off of mute. And if you're starting to speak at the same time, just one yield to the other, and we'll hear it accordingly. And while we're waiting though, Bill, a question came in that I missed about the assignment in particular. It's from Vanessa. And her question is, what is the difference between niche and target market?
Niche is actually smaller than the target market. So a niche is an even more specific segment inside a target market.
All right. Feel free to come in verbally and share your experience thus far.
Yeah, most significant insight or the most significant thing that you've learned.
Hi, this is Vanessa.
This is Dr. This is Dr. Burdell. I'll go ahead and jump in.
Could you pause, Dr. Burdell? We're going to let Vanessa go first, and then you follow her.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. For me, it has been knowing that having tenacity and perseverance is wonderful, but without knowledge, burnout is soon to come. So it has been a blessing to gather knowledge during these sessions so that I learned to build the business as well as take care of myself. And there's been so many best practices. It's one thing to listen, but there's always the follow-up of how to. So that's what I've gathered so far.
Thank you for that. Dr. Burdell, you're up.
Thank you. I think the thing that I've taken away the most is how you connect the the vision statement, your mission statement, and your values. I like how you all brought in the visualization and the positivity. And you know, I have started the business having to pivot and to bring all that together. All is it good for the audience to know all the way around, because this is a commitment, and it's a journey, and you have to have that soul burning desire to do this, and when you bring it all together and you visualize where you want to be, and you tie that into your vision and your mission and your values, you know, it all flows together. And to have that positivity, you'll win in the end. I think that's kind of where the journey has taken me, and I know that I'm going to be successful, you know, and I know I need to pivot because of this COVID, but all these things coming together has been a very positive experience. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Burdell. We appreciate that. So I have a note here from someone who has a 3-year-old in the background. We appreciate you for that, and has asked that we read. It's actually Rita Henry, the writer. And she says, for me, the experience has been the encouragement to write action items on one sticky note at a time. During that, I was a bit stuck with the ideas in my mind and nothing was getting accomplished. Now it is in bite-sized pieces, and I'm productive with an exclamation mark. Good for you, Rita. And And you're welcome. Anyone else?
If I can make a statement, I would like to say how much I've appreciated these sessions and how much I've learned. And I really appreciate Bill Davis got back to me so quickly when I turned in an assignment about the vision statement. And he kind of pointed out something I think I've always been guilty of, which is underestimating myself. So I saw that my vision wasn't as great as it should have been. So I appreciate that. And I really appreciate you all providing these recordings. I listen to them over and over and take copious notes. So thank you all very much.
You're very welcome, and thank you. Anyone else?
Raleigh Gilwood, I have something, if you can hear me.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. Certainly, I've gathered a lot of information through the 5, I guess, sessions. But the thing that really sticks out to me is the 7 mindsets. I've always, carried a positive mindset about things, never negative. But to really just see that broken down into the various components, all 7 of them, and going into detail, I've really done some reflecting, and it's been pretty powerful there. Certainly, as I mentioned earlier, we were talking about the body, and you have to have the right mindset in order to start out on the journey. So I think I read them probably 5 or 6 times. So I just wanted to say that there are many other things that I've learned, but that's probably most impactful right now.
Thank you for that, sir.
Thank you.
Next person.
As I sit and watch this myself, and even though I'm one of the facilitators, I keep thinking back how much it would have helped me had I had a group like this. So you all are so fortunate to see people who look like you tell you how they made it. And that's something that we don't see a lot. So it's very helpful. And I know that you all are probably getting something out of it, because a lot of times we don't have a lot of role models. So this is so good. And I think someone will be able to make more leaps and bounds on their journey because of this. So I really appreciate you all being here. We are happy to do it. We have been very blessed to even sit in this forum and give you what we have received. So I just really feel like we're going to see some great businesses birth out of this forum, and you all have access to us. If there are things that we can do that we have not done, there's a lot more here than we're giving you, but we're willing to do that for you. So I appreciate being able to give, and I know the rest of the panelists do too. So this is just a great forum, and we're so appreciative of Shaw University being in this with us, because many of you are here because you heard the name Shaw University, because they are very well known in the community, a whole lot more than SCORE is known. Because I've been mentoring a lot in the community, and I go and I say, do you know what SCORE is? And they're like, no, I've never heard of it. And there are people that know a lot. So Shaw University has brought a richness to what we're doing, and we're so appreciative of them. So is there anything, Dr. Wood, would you like to make a comment tonight? We're so happy to have you. She's been here the entire time, and we're just so appreciative of her.
Well, I say thank you, Patty, for those words about Shaw University. And we at Shaw also feel the same way about SCORE, which is that we love to have what we call strategic partnerships. And I think that this partnership with SCORE has been very strategic because you all are adding a lot of value. Most people don't have a lot of extra time, as we talked about, and we know that we're all going to go to bed at a reasonable hour tonight. But knowing how limited the time is, I appreciate the fact that you all have added so much value to the time we spent together. And it's been good to hear some of the feedback from the participants, because in a few years, some of these businesses are going to be growing because of the time that they took and the time that you all have taken to share what you have learned through the years. So thanks from Shaw University to SCORE. So when our 13 weeks are over, I think everybody at least will know more about SCORE. Hopefully you'll also learn a little bit more about Shaw as well.
Thank you
Thank
so
you, Dr.
much.
Hi, my name is Holly. I just wanted to say hi, and this is the first time I've been able to make it in person because of COVID-19 and family obligations. And, you know, like other people have said, I'm 2.5 years into running a company, and I have been doing this all by myself, all from scratch. And I feel like the fact this is available to our community is such a gift. I cannot thank Shaw and SCORE enough for putting this together, because I know you all are spending hours behind the scenes pulling together information. You're donating your time late at night, and I'm really grateful. I'm a little stressed out. I have like 4 classes to catch up on, and I'm hoping I can do it in sleep, but I guess that shall be determined. But I wanted to thank you all so much for sharing your knowledge, and glad to be here.
Thank you, Holly. And you can do this. You got this.
I hope so.
Get some sleep first, though. There are a couple of comments in here that I'd like to read. One of them is, honestly, I take in everything that is discussed in each session. I was starting from scratch with my knowledge about starting up a business plan, so I am learning so much. I love how it has the balance between business and well-being. It is such a blessing to have this opportunity. There was another one, balancing wellness and business is powerful. I leave every session believing in myself more and more. Timely and positive feedback is great. And then the one prior to that is most significant aspects thus far, identifying pain points and developing solutions. So we appreciate that. Anyone else before we start to wrap up for the evening?
Hi, my name is Paula, and I wanted to share how intentions really was impactful for me. For many years, I am a creator and designer. I like to create and design, as well as my daughter. And so we've wanted to do something together over the years. She just recently graduated college, and she's a graphics designer. So we just decided that it was time. And for me, it was really time to go from the hybrid of being a hobby / business person. So I really want to move into actually running a business. I'm still working, but I see me moving a little bit further towards retirement from my regular job. So I feel like this is even more a time for me to get serious. And being a part of these sessions, this is my second time in, so I'm catching up. But at the same time, it's really, I appreciate, is it Sharon? How she just, it made it more reachable instead of just how you set a goal. But when you have intentions, it brings it a little closer to home. And it's like, okay, so today I have intentions to do this. So it makes it a little bit more attainable. So I just wanted to chime in and say that I was a little shy at first to say something, but I thought I better say it. Thank you, guys.
Well, we appreciate you for saying it, because this is very helpful to us when we think about planning. A lot of what we're doing is really customized for you. Our backgrounds are such that we can go just about anywhere with you. And so to know that we are knocking it out of the park, so to speak, based on the feedback we've been given, and when you've given us critique around I need something else, like the Wednesday night forums or roundtables rather, we're able to provide that for you. So please keep the feedback coming. I'm glad that you decided to be bold and speak up. And I wish you and your daughter tremendous success. Hobbies can turn into great business ventures. So we're excited to follow you guys and hear what you're doing. And once we're done with these sessions, we still are going to be SCORE mentors. So feel free to continue to plug in with us, check in with us, and let us know how things are going. And whenever you need help, any one of us or our many of hundreds other SCORE mentors can coach you, guide you, sometimes just be a listening ear for you.
I have a question. Paula, are those earrings any part of your business?
Okay, so I will actually admit, yes, that is part of what I do. My daughter does a little bit different, but I make jewelry. I'm handcrafted designs. These are not mine, but I have a variety of what I do. I just happen to throw these on till today. So I do support others, but for me, I have a variety. If you like a little culture look, that is me. That's what I do.
I think you're probably going to be getting a connection from Darlene Thorne. And that's how business works. You know, marketing is wonderful. And the things that Bill shared with us are definitely tried and true techniques that work time and time again. But I don't think anything will ever replace word of mouth marketing. So seeing is believing. So keep that up.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Paula.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So I see one here. The most significant aspects for me would be the various resources provided, learning about the mental awareness, positive thinking, and manifesting it well as consumer pain points. I had no idea so many factors went into starting up a business from the ground up. I came into this thinking I only needed a handful of tools to make my goals happen. Seeing people make it look so easy. But these courses enlighten me on how much more actually goes into it and how to balance it all in a healthy way. I love this one, Patty. SCORE is a hidden gem. The support is immense. I have met with my mentor weekly and she keeps me focused. Sounds like that might be Patty. Are the business roundtable sessions recorded as well? I had some logistics issues last night. I missed the session on funding.
Okay, we'll get back to you. We did record the session last night, so we will get back to you on how we will distribute that. It's not finalized yet, but we had a wonderful session last night. It was a small group, but it was so comfortable and so much good conversation. Bill, what is your topic next week?
Thank you for asking me that, Patty. The topic next Wednesday is networking. And so if you have questions about networking, you want to be there. If you want to network with the people in this program, you want to be there. The way to register, number one, it's on the very same Zoom link as the Thursday night session. And you can register on the SCORE website. Is that correct?
Well, they don't need to register for this. What you do is on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, you put this Zoom link in and we will be there.
Very good. Thank you.
So we're not asking you to register. So you know how to get here or there with the same link. Just come on and we'll be here from 6 to 7:30. And we'd love to see a whole bunch of you next week since we're doing networking. And we probably can let everyone introduce themselves and really get some real networking done. So it'd be nice if we could get about 50 of you next week.
So we're going to take one more and then we're going to start to close out. Is that good with the team?
Yes.
So this last one says, all the sessions have taught me something. I am just in the beginning of thinking about what type of business I would like to have. I have identified my strengths and that I can be successful with having the mindset of a business owner. Thank you for your wonderful insight.
All right, so this has been a great session. I'm glad that you all let us know. You've been emailing us and telling us the things that you're getting out of the session, but it just helps when you speak it to us, and we're working really hard for you. We are willing to adapt this program as we go along. It seems like we have it aligned pretty well, but if we need to make a change, we will do that for you. Last week, I talked about the flu shot, and I believe I said that as young as 2 years, you can get a flu shot, but it is actually 6 months. Even a 6 month on up can get a flu shot. And I didn't have any effects from mine. I'm so glad I got it. Did anyone else on the line get one since last week?
Oh, I got mine earlier, but
Yeah, I got mine too, Patty.
I scheduled mine.
That's great. So you all stay on top of that. I think that's about it for tonight. We hope to see you Wednesday, everybody. And thank you so much for coming. Y'all have a great weekend. Stay safe. There's a lot going on, so everybody stay safe.
We hope you enjoyed session 5 and found it informative. Over the last 4 sessions, the foundation has been laid for your business plan success. As we move into session 6, expectations are that you continue to be laser focused on the content in your business plan. Also, do not pass on the opportunity to review the program's resource notes, which are listed on the Raleigh SCORE website. Here is the URL. Up next is session 6, which is now open for registration. Simply go to www.raleigh.score.org. Click on the tab Take a Workshop and register today. The date for session 6 is October 8th at 6 p.m. The session title is SWOT Analysis and Managing Your Mindset to Build Momentum. In session 6, we'll discuss the traditional steps in conducting a SWOT analysis. This session will also cover how to manage your mindset to build momentum in your business. Session 6 is intently revealing and requires extreme focus on the material. Jay Graves and Sharon Shelton will be your facilitators for session 6. We look forward to working with you in the upcoming sessions, and please keep in mind that we are here to assist and direct you along your journey. Until then, have a wonderful day.
Very good. Good night, everyone.
Have a wonderful day. Rest well.
It looks like people are putting their email addresses in.
Night, everybody.
Good night.
Rest well.